Hello, I'm the Shovel, and this summer I decided to take part in hackclub's stardance event, hackathon. I'm not actually sure what it is. It's like an event where teenagers get together and they make cool tech projects. Not only software, but also hardware stuff. It's pretty cool. I participated in other stuff from hackclub in the past years. But this year I got an idea. So, all of the chatbots that most people use, like Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, all of those run on cloud data centers. They don't actually do much on your actual device, which, is done for speed, and so they can make you pay a subscription to get their best model. I don't really like that, especially because data centers are built without much regulation, and, well, at least in the US, from what I heard. I'm not from the US, but from the news I've seen from there, it's pretty bad. And it's making, places in the world just unlivable, just eating up the entire water supply to the point where when they turn on tap water, it's barely even sprinkling something. So, I decided to make a solution for that. There's already local ways to run LLMs, but I'm not really happy with them, and most of the harnesses that, are open source out there, like the one that PewDiePie made, they all expect you to run very large models. I mean, even PewDiePie himself is running DeepSeek V4 on, multiple GPUs in his house. And, not everyone has the money for that. Are there any solutions for people with, average hardware? Can people with just stuff they have around their house actually host their own AI chatbot? From my research, I have not found any harnesses that are made specifically for simple, day-to-day tasks that don't expect the model to be very capable. So, it's a gap that I feel like I have to fill, because I also want that for myself. I don't really like giving all of my data to Google, and even though I know Google has most of my data anyway already, but I want to build a thing that I know I can put on my shitty laptop and it can still give me a coherent, good response to a question, or I give it an image and I tell it to analyze it and it can give me a response. For example, I can get a new mouse or something and I don't know how to set it up. Let's say it's one of those fancy wireless mouses that has a software or whatever, and since I use Linux, that software doesn't work. So, instead of manually searching online for solutions, I could just take a picture of the back of the mouse with, the model number, all that stuff, and then just put it into the app, and it analyzes it, and it does the web searches for me. And it summarizes everything it finds, nicely and tidy, and I can just use that. So I built that. Now, this wasn't easy at all, especially because most documentation out there for this kind of stuff is made, again, like how I said before, it's made for the big models, which, to the average person that runs AI locally, saying that a 10 billion model is a big model might sound a little ridiculous, since, most of those people can run 50 billion parameter models, but not everyone has 16 gigabytes of VRAM, So this was pretty hard. The main bottleneck was RAM usage. While I was working on the app, I kept running out of memory. Even on my main computer, which has quite a bit of RAM, when I put the app on my shitty laptop, it ran out of memory after one prompt. Sometimes it wasn't even responding to one prompt, it was just erroring. So I had to fix that, obviously. And I did that by just compression and dynamic context size setting, so the app can basically just adapt itself to your hardware. Also, compression. Compression is a big thing here because, the longer the conversation goes on, the more RAM it uses. So I just keep only the past few messages intact, and then everything else is just insanely compressed. And this does turn into the AI forgetting stuff from the past, but it does make it work on very shitty hardware, so you can't win them all. Also, I had a pretty tough time choosing a tiny model that can actually make decent tool calls. Most of the models I tried that are under 1 billion or 1 billion parameters, they either don't have tool calling or they are awful at tool calling. The best one that I found as of right now is Quen 3.5 0.8 billion, which also has quantizations, so basically compressed versions, and the 500 megabyte one is fairly competent. So even though I put multiple options for slightly larger models, if your PC can handle it, in the model picker, the 0.8B model is what I used while developing the app. So everything is made with the assumption that you are running this super tiny LLM. And since I was talking about tools before, I should probably explain what tools I implemented in this app. I initially wanted to have a local knowledge base that I would embed once, which takes quite a bit, but once you embed it, you can fetch data from it pretty quickly and have it gather its information from there. But then I realized we have the internet, and that's a much bigger source of data than anything I could build locally. So I just gave it access to DuckDuckGo, and it can just search for stuff online. It doesn't call to a proxy or a server or something. It just uses your computer and literally searches on DuckDuckGo and then gets the output, which is basically links and short descriptions of every website. And then the AI can enter those websites and also gather information from that. For example, the test that I kept doing was asking it to find the cheapest iPhone on eBay. And this was a pretty tough task for it because for a tiny LLM to peruse a website like that and give you responses from such a messed up HTML response is pretty tough, actually. So a lot of testing, and I wish I had a solution to give you, but really the whole thing was just trial and error. I had to try different ways to parse the HTML so I would get a usable output from it that the LLM can understand. So it was just a bunch of trial and error and seeing what works best. And eventually I settled on something that is fairly good. The project is completely open source under AGPL. So if you want to check out how I did that, you can check the repository in the description. But after that, it actually did find me the cheapest iPhone on eBay imaginable. It actually did work. It doesn't really work 100% of the time when you put it in. It does have a little bit of luck, but yeah, I mean, it's the closest I'm gonna get to this. And along with that, I also added some fun features like this little guy here that you can customize. I can change the appearance. You could put pixel art Miku in there if you want, or anything. It doesn't really matter. And I also made the LLM able to make custom themes for you. So you can tell it, make a green theme for me. And it is gonna make a theme that is green. And then it saves in this little thing here, and you can access it and all that. I also put add-on models. So basically other very small models, but they are specialized on certain tasks. I have one for vision because the main LLM doesn't support vision. Quen 3.5 0.8B. Actually, wait, no, I'm not sure if it does support vision, but the inference engine that I'm using, Llama CPP, specifically the node binding for it, it doesn't support vision, so I don't know anyway. So I had to put a separate model that runs on O and then X. Yeah, that one works. I also put in there a LFM math model because The main model, even though it is good at pre-generic conversation, it is still fairly poor in math stuff. So I put this specialized like 300 megabyte model in there, and it does give better output than the main model for maths. So yay! And the main model like makes calls to it and stuff. It's pretty cool. And the system is pretty easy to add onto. Get it add on. So if you want to contribute with something, again, link in description. Then I tested this on my 7GB of RAM laptop, which runs Arch Linux, and it worked. Gave it multiple questions like how much free disk space I have, or that very tough one with searching for the cheapest iPhone on eBay. Even though it took a while, like the storage one, how much free space I have, that took like 60 seconds, and the iPhone one took like 120 seconds. But to be fair, on most other apps, they don't even work. Like, I just get errors, and they just don't work. Especially like chat UIs. Because if I run something like Olama, which is just a terminal-based text inference thing, that runs decently fine. You can run it, but as soon as I put that in like a harness, a UI or something, chatting with it, it just falls apart. So this is a pretty big achievement, which really made me think, why don't the big AI companies do this? Like, didn't Google promise to run Gemini locally on Google Pixel devices? I'm pretty sure they did that. So, where is that? What the fuck, man? Why are we wasting resources? Why are we destroying the planet for this stuff when we could just run it on our phones? To be honest, past year at least, most of the advancements have not been that crazy. So, I don't really know what we have to benefit from, like we as people. Because I know that the companies themselves are trying to make money from this, even though they are in debt. It's a whole thing. I'm not gonna go into the details, but it's a mess, and I'm just wondering, why can't we just mitigate all of this by running our models locally? Like, instead of charging a subscription, maybe you could just sell the model. How people pay for FL Studio, you know? You buy FL Studio once, and you have it, and that's it. You know, it's not a small price, but you pay it once and you have it forever. So, yeah, I don't really understand why we don't just do that. So yeah, this is my project. I've had fun making it, and I hope that you check it out in the description below. I made a cool website for it. Woo, look at it. It's like, I'm not actually looking at it right now, I'm just recording audio, but I'll probably put like a thing where I show you that I can push around the guy in the background. That was pretty cool to make. Yeah, anyway, so that's the project. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope that you will use this instead of wasting a ton of resources to ask ChatGPT what's on sale on eBay. Have a nice one, I guess.